Ever thought about what really happens to your money when you deposit it in a bank? It's not just sitting there like a lazy cat. It's actually getting multiplied through something called the money multiplier effect.
Oh, absolutely. That idea sounds pretty intriguing, yeah? How exactly does that multiplication happen?
Well, take for instance a deposit of, say, 10,000 rupees. Instead of locking it up completely, banks only keep a small piece as a safety net, the cash reserve ratio, or CRR. So with a
right.
CRR of 10%, they stash away 1,000 rupees and lend out the 9,000 rupees.
So the bank lends out that 9,000 rupees, and then someone else, like a borrower, uses that money. Is that where the cycle kicks in?
Exactly. Imagine Priya needing a loan to buy a new smartphone. She borrows that 9,000 rupees, and then the shop owner deposits it back into their bank. And guess what? That deposit, too, goes through the same process. It's like a chain reaction that multiplies the initial deposit throughout the economy.
So essentially, that single deposit ends up creating a ripple effect, multiplying money across the system. But don't you think it's a bit risky? I mean, constantly lending and depositing? Couldn't that potentially create instability?
Sure, that's a valid point. Banks have to be really careful. They follow strict guidelines set by the Reserve Bank to ensure they don't overextend. For example, with a 10% CRR, you get a multiplier of 1 divided by 0.1, which equals 10. So a 10,000 rupees deposit can potentially generate up to 100,000 rupees in the economy. It's a controlled process, not a free-for-all.
Right. So it's like each deposit is a spark that sets off a whole chain reaction of lending and redepositing, which in turn fuels economic activity, like enabling home loans, education loans, and even business investments.
Exactly, and it's kind of magical in a way, like pulling money out of a hat, but it's all regulated and methodical. Banks aren't just storing your cash, they're actively leveraging it to boost the economy.
I can see that, although I sometimes wonder if this mechanism might, overinflate the money supply if not carefully managed. It sounds like a balancing act between creating growth and keeping things stable.
That's a fair challenge. While the multiplier effect does create seemingly extra money, it's not magic-free money. It's about making your deposit work harder. And central banks tweak the CRR to control the risk and ensure stability.
And that simple formula, 1 CRR, so with a CRR of 0.1, you get a multiplier of 10. It's such an elegant way of showing the power of what banks do.
Absolutely. It really underscores how a modest deposit can have a far-reaching impact on the economy. It's like each rupee is in a dance, moving through loans and deposits, fueling growth in education, business, and beyond.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. That's a fascinating insight. It really puts into perspective how our everyday financial actions are part of a much larger economic story.
For sure, it's all about the dynamics behind the scenes. A well-choreographed dance that turns static deposits into active investments powering the economy.
What a neat trick. And thinking about it makes you appreciate the complexity behind simple banking transactions. Thanks for breaking that down. It's been quite enlightening.